Now we have an end-to-end subscription management. Let's connect Hasura to a Netlify function to tell it about the user role whenever we send a token. First thing, we need to create a function here and call it validate user. We'll export our handler and we'll get the event and the context. We will extract the user from the client context. And then here we check if the user is there. This means it's authenticated. We will return the role of the actual user. Otherwise, we will return anonymous role for Hasura. So let's extract the user ID. And this is gonna be user.sub, and we will return a 200 response. In the body, we'll have a JSON stringify, and first argument is gonna be x Hasura dash user dash ID, and this is gonna be our user ID. And then most importantly, the Hasura role, which is gonna be x dash Hasura dash role, and this we will get from the user.appmetadata.role, and we'll get the first element. And if the user is not authenticated, we'll return also 200, but with an anonymous role. Let's save. Now let's go to Hasura Cloud, go to environment variable and click new env var and scroll all the way down until you found this Hasura underscore GraphQL underscore auth underscore hook. And then here we will give it the URL of our function. Remember, we named it validate user, so it's going to be the URL of our website, .netlify functions on validate user. Let's click add. Now let's go back to Hasura. Let's create a table called content. It will hold all the content for our subscribers. Here we'll name it content. First column is going to be an ID, and it's going to be of type UID, and we will generate a random one and make it unique. We will have title. This is going to be of type text. We also will have content, and it's going to be of type text. We'll also have a plan, and it's going to be of type text. And let's click on these frequently used columns and add the created ad and the updated ad. And let's click on the primary key and choose ID as a primary key and click add table. Now the table is added. Let's go to insert row and add some content. So we will get a free title and also free content. And this one is going to be available for the plan free. Let's save. Let's now add another for basic. And note the plan here is the same as the rows that we set previously. Let's click insert again. And lastly, let's add the premium content. Let's hit insert again. Now let's browse our rows, and you can see here we have 3 types of content. Now let's go back to our project and set up Apollo GraphQL to be able to pull the content from Hasura. I'm gonna stop the server and add a few dependencies. So it's gonna be the Apollo Rect hooks, Apollo client, Apollo link, Apollo cache in memory, Apollo link HTTP, and also we want to add the GraphQL tag. Let's hit enter. Now, similar to the identity context, we want to wrap our entire Gatsby app with the Apollo client. So to be able to query from anywhere in any component in our app. Let's go to the Gatsby browser. I'm gonna paste in a few imports here. And let's go to our identity context. And in here, export also the Netlify identity. Let's go back to the Gatsby browser and also import the Netlify identity. First, let's create an in-cache memory for Apollo GraphQL. Then we will have the HTTP link. And here we'll create one and give it the Gatsby Hasura URL. And this is through an environment variable that we will set in Netlify. Now let's create a middleware for the Apollo GraphQL. Here we will inject the authorization token and inside of the headers and return back the link. Now let's declare the link and let's create our client. Now let's wrap everything in the Apollo provider. And the Apollo provider here will get the client. And here we'll use the Apollo hooks to pull some data from Hasura. Let's start first with a few imports. So we'll use the use query from Apollo React hooks and the GraphQL from GraphQL tag. Let's get our query and we will call it get content query. And this is gonna be GQL and then our query. An easy way to get the query, we can go here into the Hasura console, go to GraphQL, and using the Explorer, you can get the content and the title. Let's copy it and paste it here. Now let's create a separate component for the content. Then here we will use the use query and pass in the query. It will give us loading, error, and data. So if we have an error, we will simply display all of it. Then if it's loading, we will display the loading. And lastly, we will return the data. So here we will have a UL, and inside of that, we will map through the content array and display the title for now. And let's take this content in here, and in the dashboard, let's add an H2 and write content, and here we will display the content component. Let's go to Netlify, and our website deploy settings, environment, and make sure you add this Gatsby Hasura URL, and it's gonna be the URL that we get from the Hasura GraphQL Explorer. After that, make sure to push your code to GitHub so it will build and have the function ready for you. So if you go to functions, you can see here I already pushed the code and we have validate user in place. So let's do Netlify dev and let's go to dashboard, and you can see here we're receiving GraphQL error, which is expected. This means that we didn't set any permission yet to the table, so Hasura will return an error that this field doesn't exist. So let's go back to our API Explorer here and click on data. Let's go to content and click on permissions. So the first thing is we want to create the free role, and we want to just enable the select. We can do a custom check, and the custom check is if the role is free, we want to only display the content that's equal to free. Let's save the permission. Let's add another role, which is basic. And we will edit also the permission for select. This one will be with an OR check because you want to display the content that is free. And also you want to display the content that is basic. Now let's save the permission. And lastly, we will have the premium. We will also do a select, but here we will do without any check. As long as you have a role of premium, you can see all the fields. And let's select which fields we want to see: the content, the title, and maybe created at, updated at, and the plan. Save permission. Let's also go to the free and also get these fields, and the same thing for basic. Let's save. And now let's go back to our project and go back to home and then dashboard. You can see here I am premium, I can see everything. But let's go to Stripe and change our plan. I'm gonna go down to basic and confirm. Now let's go back to our project. I am basic here. If I click on dashboard, I can see the free content and the basic content. Let's change the subscription plan again and click on update plan and change to free and hit confirm. And once we go back and click on dashboard, you can see I only can see the free content.